Hi. There are some people who would argue that big government is bad. And I guess if you're looking at the book 1984, I could see that if government was spying on everybody, from posters in the wall, and things like that. I could see that being bad. But I think there's a reason that we really do need big government, and that's to control the people who have money and keep them from controlling us. If you want to talk about books, 1984 was one that would be against big government. But if you read The Jungle by Upton Sinclair, that's based on true story. 1984 is speculative, um, but The Jungle was based on real life meatpacking in Chicago, and I think in the very early 1900s, where the companies owned the meat companies owned the buildings that the people that their employees worked in, and those buildings would not protect them from the cold elements or anything, but they were forced to live in them, and they were forced to go to stores owned by the companies, and they were forced to use money printed by the company instead of actual U.S. currency uh, to do it. They would pay them in that fake money, and they would have to use that fake money spent at the company's businesses to just totally benefit the business. And the people were underpaid. Um, Living conditions were horrible. There was blood streaming down the middle of the street from the dead cattle and everything. And that book sparked changes to the government. Another one that I wish would spark changes, or at least get people to be aware of what can happen if things happen, is Atlas Shrugged. And if you actually read that, you could see how bad it could be if people with money were to take over. But I want to talk about this kind of thing and how it relates to me. I of course read these books because I'm a book nerd. Besides being an author, I'm a reader. Um, but there's a an article that came out called "How a Big Pharma Company Stalled a Potentially Life-Saving Vaccine in Order to Make Bigger Profits," and that was put out by Anna Marie Berry Jester and ProPublica. And what she brought out, what she was able to identify, was a big pharma scam that ended up affecting me. So that's why I'm talking about it today. And what happened is the U.S. government back in the early days, and still, um, they don't have the money to put into research. So they have some money and they would assist with research, and they assisted GSK in developing some vaccines. GSK is the company that ended up making Shingrix, which is the vaccine that paralyzed me. But anyway, what happened with this particular story was they found this how do you pronounce it? I think it's adjuvant, uh, which was a part of a medicine, and they're using that to try to treat um, tuberculosis. And tuberculosis used to be the number one killer in the world. It used to kill many people. I mean, smallpox, was smaller than tuberculosis, and a lot of people would get it. And it doesn't always kill. Sometimes it just stays latent in you. But if your immune system gets weakened at all, yes, it will kill. You'll be coughing up blood. Your lungs wouldn't work. You get chills. You get pain in the chest, and still 1.5 million people still die of TB to this day. Not so many in the United States. We've discovered other vaccines that would help. So anyway, and around 2018, they found a vaccine that would have helped the people in Africa. It was a big issue. Millions of people, 1.5 million people, still die down there because of TB, and they discovered a vaccine that, based on this adjutant. Again, I have trouble with that word. Medical words. I have a lot of trouble with medical words. But anyway, they discovered that would have helped them, and it literally cured 50% of the people. It's not 100%, but it cured them. And they were so eager to get this in. And the United States government helped GSK develop this vaccine. And GSK, instead of rolling this thing out and saving these people who were dying in Africa, they saw the opportunity to create a vaccine that they could use in the United States and sell for a massive profit. And it was called Shingrix. So they made Shingrix instead of the vaccine for TB. And, people don't die of Shingrix. I mean, it's very uncomfortable. You don't want to have shingles, but you're not going to die. If you had a heart attack or something, so if you had some kind of conditions where this just kind of tips the scales, then yes, there are some deaths, I'm sure, and those would not be good, but nowhere near the number of people that are dying due to TB. I mean, you're talking thousands instead of millions on that, and so GSK saw an opportunity to make money, and instead of selling a drug in Africa for nothing and getting nothing out of it, they turned around to sell it in the United States and European countries to make a lot of money. And you would think they could do both of them, but this adjuvant, I get in trouble with it. It's created from some bark from woods from trees in Chile in South America, and apparently those trees are a little bit in short supply due to drought and forest fires and things like that. So they don't have as much of that as they would like. So GSK, rather than wasting any of it on somebody where they can't get any money, they decided to do it all on selling the shingles virus out here, shingles vaccine here in the United States and other places. And it's working for them. They've made $14 billion since 2018. They wouldn't have gotten that, if they would have been saving people from TB in Africa. And this, the CEO of Big Pharma makes $22 million a year. So it's not right in my mind that a business could make the decision for that many lives simply based on dollars, and it's just simply not right. It's just wrong. I mean that if you're reading the Bible and a lot of people are very much into that, how is that a good thing? It's evil in any way you shape it. GSK. I was looking at their 2022 financials because they're a publicly owned company. They pay more on advertising than they do on research of the product. So their whole thing is to advertise things out, and and make your doctor want you to have the shingles shot. You go out to a grocery store and you see shingles vaccines. You go into a doctor and they go, have a shingles vaccine. When I went and got my shingles vaccine, I was not in the doctor's office for that. I was in there to simply have a physical. That was it. And she offered me the shot. And I should have said no. If I'd have said no, I'd be walking today, I'd be swimming today, I'd be playing with my dog today, I'd be able to walk my daughters down the aisle when they get married. I'd be walking. Instead, I'm not. And it's all because of the greed of Big Farm. Shingles sucks, but I would rather had the worst case of shingles ever than had what happened to me happen. So today I just wanted to talk more about how a big government, what if big government was in control of this? They wouldn't care about profits. They would be doing it based on what works, and what would save lives. And I think that big government is far better than big business. So I think having a government that controls big business is extremely critical. Otherwise, read the jungle, and you'd see exactly what billionaires would want to give us, because that's all they care about is money, their money especially. So anyway, I did want to do a self-advertisement. This is my newest book. Whoa, okay, I don't know how to do this. The Shadow. And that's a young adult book about a boy who goes to watch an eclipse with his friends, and the eclipse somehow separates him from his shadow, and his shadow comes to life. The boy, he thinks there's something wrong with him, like he's a vampire or a demon or something like that, because he doesn't have a shadow anymore. So he's afraid to be around, their friends that there are people in the schools when they discover he doesn't have a shadow. They're after him. And meanwhile, the shadow discovers it has its own enemies as it comes to life. So it's a lot of fun. It's a little bit darker than a lot of the books I've written. Most of my books are humor, but today was about a dark subject, so I might as well talk about a dark subject on my book as well. But anyway, thank you very much for listening and watching. My website is www.normcowie.com. That's Cowie, Cowie. And I hope to see you there. I hope you read my book. I hope I walk someday. I hope our government takes care of us. I hope Big Farm, gets some moral justice done to them. All of that. So anyway, thank you again very much.